Do it. Yes, I did. Okay, welcome. Let's start with some breathing. So, just take a comfortable seat. We'll do a couple deep breaths seated, and then we'll do our warm up standing today. So you can be kneeling, seated, wherever feels comfortable. We'll just do this initial breath exercise to just sort of check in with our bodies. Breath is a great way to make that initial transition to listening, shifting out of our daily mental activity. Try to hear the sound of the breath, to feel the breath. Feel it in the body, making an expansion and contraction. Probably can feel the breath at the tip of your nose. Hear the breath, sound of the wind at the nose. Maybe you can hear it in the back of the throat. A couple more just like that, really paying attention to the sound and the sensation, the feeling of the breath. Making this conscious recognition, dropping in to an embodied experience, feel-based experience. Prioritizing my senses, which are in the present moment. And then just notice any moods. Maybe you have high energy, low energy, average. Notice your mood. Be aware of how it is. Don't change it, do anything to it, just notice. And then notice any emotions, any sentiments, happy, sad, a little frustrated, bored, whatever might be there. Just take a moment to notice. One more deep breath here. Taking a mental ledger of how you're feeling, what you're experiencing. Wonderful. When you're ready, you're going to join me in a standing posture for our warm-ups. You can just have your blocks available near the side of your mat. Start with your feet about hips distance apart. Do some hip circles. Keep breathing long and slow. Start to do some hip circles. Working too hard, you're sort of loosening up the joints a little bit. But it's more than like really stretching and loosening up. It's really about just becoming aware of our hips. Let's reverse the circles. Oh, thank you for that angle adjustment. Good. Just reach up with your left arm, kind of reach back a little bit. Don't cause any pain to your shoulder, but bring the hand back down and reach up with the other one. Reach back. And twist a little bit as you do this. Come back down. Let's alternate. So you're reaching forward, then up. You're twisting a little bit at your waist. And then coming back down. More rounds like that, just exploring that motion. Kind of like the backstroke. So this time, as you are going to complete the backstroke, you're going to rotate the palm. So it's always kind of pointing away from you. As you come back down, other hand, the palm is always pointing away from you. Completing a full circle. Let's go to the first side again. Backstroke. Second side. Backstroke. Good. Let's go ahead, bend your knees nice and deep. Put your hands on your knees. Let's stretch our chest up, chin up. And then exhale, drop your chin and push your hips down. A little bit forward. Good. Bend your knees. Open your chin, open your chest. Hands on the knees. Inhale, stretch up. And then exhale, drop your chin. More like that. Bend your knees, hips back, look up. And then stand up, drop the chin just a little bit, push the hips down. Belly muscles will come in here. Really take your left hand, reach it out wide, and just draw an archway over your head. Do the same thing on the other side. You're going to reach up and wide, you're going to draw an archway over your head. Let's go back to the first side. Archway. Archway. Good. Turn the palms open like this and pull kind of elbows against your ribs, pull the thumbs back, open across your chest. And just pulse 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Feel those shoulder blades push onto the back. Exhale, just gently bow, slide the hands down the legs any amount. Don't overdo it. Inhale, come up. We're going to take those hands, same gesture like you're holding a tray, widening it, elbows against your ribs, and then squeeze back so you feel those shoulder blades tone on your back. 1, 2, 3. Let's repeat that. Slide the hands down the legs, any amount. Inhale, come up. Open the arms out. 1, 2. Really feel those shoulder blades squeeze. And 3. Good. Turn the toes out about as wide as your yoga mat. Heels can be turned in slightly. Bend your knees like you're going to do a squat. You're going to feel the thighs burn a little bit here. So you're engaging the leg bones, leg muscles. But you're going to pop your heels up. 1, and then hover them down. Lift up 2. Hover them down. 3. Good. Last round. 4. And relax. Straighten your legs. Open the body up. Just kind of look up. Take a deep breath here. Long abdomen. Let's do that again. Come back to neutral. Bend your knees. Hover the heels. We're going to lift and lower. Lift. Keep your knees bent the whole time. Lower. Lift. Lower. Just warming up the muscles. Major muscle groups we'll need for our practice. Last round. Hover. Good. Feet down. Straighten your legs. Look up. And relax. One more round like that. Bend the knees. Lift and hover. Up and lower. Keeping the heels off the ground the whole time. You're just lifting and lowering. Pushing the knees out. You do this. Good. Lower down. Straighten the legs. Look up. And relax. Back down. Good. Come back to neutral. Using our core here, you're going to inhale. You're going to lift up your knee as high as you can. Flex the foot. And place it back down. Other side. Lift the knee as high as you can. Flex the foot. And then back. Left leg up. Flex. And back down. Try and feel you're keeping your belly muscles back and in as you do this. Lift up right. Flex. Back down. Good. So you can put your hand out in front so you can hit your hand with your knee. For me, it's my wrist. And back down. Other leg. Good. You want to try to feel these core muscles firing and the deep hip flexors firing as you lift up. 2 more rounds. Lifting up as high as you can, using those core hip flexors. Excellent. Good. Go ahead and step back. That one leg, press down through the heel. So you're going to put your right leg back, push down through that right heel. Long enough, so keep that heel rooted so that when you bend your front knee, you get a stretch in your calf. Stretching your back calves. Just getting a nice long calf stretch here. Planting that back heel. Yep, fully in warrior 1. Opening up, deep stretch here. Okay, let's straighten the front leg. Slide the hands. Pull the hip back. Slide the hands down the leg any amount. Inhale, come back up, step it forward. Let's change sides. You're gonna step the left leg back, really plant the heel. The heel anchored with the leg straight, both legs straight to start. Okay. You can close the stance. That'll help isolate the calf stretch. Keep the heel planted and then start to bend the front knee, stretching the back of the calf. Make sure it's not the back of the knee. You want to feel the calf itself being released. Okay, straighten the leg. Keep the leg very straight. We're going to bow forward and mount. Hands go down the leg. Now come back up. Let's step to the front of our mats. Good job. Mountain pose. You can bring your legs a little bit closer together. So you can energetically squeeze them together. They don't have to touch, but you can squeeze them together. If they're touching, the knees and the ankles or the big toes will all touch simultaneously, not one and not the other. So bring the arms against the body. And gently start to hug your arms to the body and your legs towards each other. Just feel like you're toning the muscles around your bones. As you tone, start to rise up through your crown. You're building a full posture. You never walk around like this, but you're giving your skeleton sort of a chance to be in its most spacious. The core joints. Breathe into that shape. Bone space. More like that. Good. Rotate the palms to point forward, but keep the pose the same. So you're reaching down on the diagonal with your fingertips. Slowly start to pull the arms back, toning the shoulder muscles, wrapping them toward the back of the spine. Breathing here, holding the posture, allowing that skeleton to be open and spacious. Make sure you're extending your elbow, trying to make your arms as straight as possible. Good, and relax. Now let's take that feeling and see if it works at the wall. So you'll go to a wall space, you'll put the heels against the wall. You'll put your hips against the wall. You have a wall space available that you can do this on? Okay, good. Hips against the wall, shoulders against the wall. And even your skull against the wall. Take your head back a little bit more. And then practice the same arm alignment, turning the palms to face towards the center of the room. If you're laying on your back, this is similar to how it would feel. Just noticing what muscles or muscle groups are engaged. And if we were laying, think of this as upright. Just notice your body sort of open into this shape. You may have to tone your shoulder blades a little more. Think about pulling your belly muscles back without letting the points of contact leave the wall. More deep breaths here, just experiencing this realignment. And relax. Good. Back to the mat. Try to recreate that uprightness that you had from the wall's aid, the wall's insight. Okay, you're gonna lift up on your tippy toes, see if you can maintain that. Oftentimes the hips want to go forward here when we lift our tippy toes, our heels up. So rest your hands out in front on a ledge, imaginary ledge. Breathe. Focus on the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. Having an even distribution of weight. I feel my own hips trying to slide forward here. Use my core rather than my balance. It's creating stability. Head to toe. Breathing here. All right, now start to slowly bend your knees forward. Imagine that your heels, hips, and shoulders, and your head, we're sliding down that wall. Best of your ability. Good. Let's come back up and release. All right, now let's go see how much different it feels at the wall surface. You want to have that straight line. You can have your feet be a little bit in front this time. Your heels don't have to touch the wall. We do want to keep our hips and shoulders on the wall in our head. And so then we're going to lift up. You're just hovering near the wall. Lift up. Let's work out my own arrangement here. Yeah, I think I can do this actually. Lift up. And then arms out. And now start to slowly lower down. Hips, shoulders, and head against the wall. The heels will definitely come off the wall. That's appropriate. We're not leaning on the wall. We're just using it as a guidepost. Experience keeping spaciousness in our body. Recognize the feeling as you slide back up. Oh, I noticed my hips want to come forward there. And now we'll try again off the wall. Taking the insight from the wall. I had a lot more spaciousness I found when I lowered down with the wall. Let's do one more round. Tippy toe. Aware, arms out. Trying to feel like that wall was still there, supporting you as you lower down. Breathing mindfully. Good work. Inhale back up. Stretch the arms up high, keep the heels down. You can lift the hips, go a little forward here, really open up the front of the body. Exhale, bow forward onto blocks or a coffee table ledge. Knees can be slightly bent. Let's stretch our chin forward, toning our back muscles. Take a deep breath here, opening up the back. Really opening up the legs and engaging the back. Good. Stay here just with the upper body. Step the right leg back. The heel can be in the air. Breathe. Change legs. Torso stays the same. Just doing a high lunge or a low lunge. Back knee lifted. Other side. Excellent. Stepping back forward. Knee forward fold. You can release your spine as much as you like this time. Roll your belly muscles in. Building that awareness to our body. And then when you're ready, you're going to come down to your knees. When you're on your knees, you're going to tuck your toes. You can have the blocks out in front of you. Tuck your toes so the pads of the toe are on the ground. What you're going to do, you can use the blocks for support. You're going to sit your hips back like you're trying to sit onto your heels. Be careful with your knees, your hip joints. This will get quite a stretch on the top of your foot, or sorry, on the bottom of your foot. You can walk your hands back any amount. I'm trying to stretch the sole of the foot here. So toes are tucked. Breathing. So let's rise up, hips up, and step the left foot forward. So the back knee is down, left foot is forward. And Now we're going to drop our hips towards the front heel, pressing down with the back leg. Excellent work. Open the chest. As you open your chest, you're going to pull the shoulder blades back. Pull the shoulder blades back. Breathe here. Looks good. Excellent. Push down and step back to kneeling. Keep the toes tucked if you can. And step forward with your right foot. Push down as you sink the hips forward. Squeeze your shoulder blades back. Back out of the pose, step back, good. Come all the way down, forehead towards the earth, and sit the hips back, child's pose. Let's take some deep breaths into our back body. Walk the legs all the way back and come down onto the belly muscles. We're going to press down with our forearms underneath our shoulders. Forearms underneath our shoulders and lift up through our crowns for a Sphinx pose. Thank you for adjusting. A little bit lower would be good. Let's start first just checking with our mobility in our shoulders. So in our Sphinx pose, maybe you can see my image in the camera here, but I can push down with my arms and bring my body up, which pushes my shoulders a little bit forward and then down. I can also hang my body, which sends the shoulders up and towards my ears. See if you have mobility there, where you can move your torso, ribs and spine, in relation to the shoulders. And just check in with your range of motion. Don't force it. Just go back and forth. And one teacher would call this shoulder flossing. And then rest. And you can place your palm over palm and turn your cheek on top of one hand. Just give the pose a moment to cool down. Good. Place the hands again. Elbows under shoulders. And this time you're going to draw your belly muscles in. Like you're trying to lift them up. Your base ribs may still be touching the earth, but just try to squeeze your belly muscles in. Now, as you do this, reach back through your toes from your tailbone. From there, keeping all that, push with your hands so your chest comes off the ground. Your arms are like a straight line. Your elbows have come off the mat. It's like a long cobra with a very engaged abdominal. Yep, you got it. Breathe. And now try to lift your spine out of your shoulders like that, the shoulder flossing where the shoulders go down. Hold the pose and breathe here. Good. Exhale, elbows out, palm over palm. Let's turn our head the other direction. Another next round, you can place your hand under your shoulder blades. Squeeze your shoulder blades and elbows towards each other behind you. Kind of tense your butt a little bit, kind of push your hips down into the floor. And now lift up, full cobra pose. Pull your belly muscles in so your hips might come off the ground a little bit even. Good, breathing here. Lift up the hips a little bit, pushing down through the knees, and then slowly lower the hips back into your cobra pose, toning your low belly muscles, keeping them hugged in, not spilling their belly muscles. Good, push the knees down, hips come up, one more time. Slowly lower down. Open your chest. Deep inhale. Full cobra. Exhale, push back. Downward facing dog. You can do this at the wall. We'll be here for about 5 breath counts. You're welcome to bend your knees a little bit. Rest the belly on the thighs some. But focus on pushing down evenly from big toe to pinky toe. More deep breath. Go ahead and walk your hands back to a forward bend and then come on up to mountain pose. Please find your yoga blocks. If you have 2, great. And put them touching like wide, in a wide setting like this, yeah. So it's just a little bit of pressure, they'll stay together. Yeah, so I've got the, so I can get all my fingertips like this. So you're gonna be able to push with your fingertips and your knuckle pads on the blocks. Okay, a little bit of tension. You can rest your thumb either on the side as well or on the top. You know, a little bit of downward pressure. All the finger pads are engaged. This gets a little bit of engagement through all the tendon of the arm and the fingertips get engaged. Nice little spread of spaciousness with the fingertips. Okay, you're gonna gently squeeze and hold the blocks out in front of you. Gently putting pressure with all the fingertips. And start to lift up, nice and slow. Breathe here. Remember that spaciousness of our spine, where we have the walls intelligence supporting us. And slowly bring it back down out in front. And then relax. Good, we're gonna try the exact same thing. Again, we're gonna use the walls guidance. So the heels, the hips, the shoulders, and the head will touch the wall. And you'll find the blocks again. Out in front, just enough engagement to feel a gentle tone. Straight out in front. What happened there? A little more engagement. There you go, gently squeezing the blocks. Yeah, Jim, turn them so they're on the wide walk, so it's wider, more for your, there's more room for your fingertips. You turn them. See how it's like Rather than you have it like this, go like this, so you have more space for your fingertips. There you go. Squeeze. Nice and slow. Start to rise up. Notice how the hips or shoulders or head might try to leave the wall. Use your belly muscles. Draw them back. Maybe your thumbs will find the wall. Maybe not. Breathing here. Good. Back down. We're going to do one more round, so take a quick rest, stay on the wall. We're going to add the crescent motion in. When you're ready, straighten your arms, engage the finger pads, and without leaving the wall, with your wall points, lift up the arms. At some point, those belly muscles will have to hug back to stabilize. Once you've got your arms to the appropriate height, sort of make a swooping motion over to one side. Stay connected to the wall, especially with your shoulders. Breathe. Let's go the other direction, swooping the other way. Breathe. Back up. And relax back down. Good. Put the blocks back down at the front of your mat and come back to your yoga mat. Feel how your mountain pose should be really easy to be upright right now. That's the core and the back of your spine, all hugging to make upright easeful. We're going to add the standing leg postures now. Let's try to keep this inner buoyancy. Warrior one. Right leg back, front knee bent. Root down. If you want, you can use those blocks again for awareness. Doing the same exact action of bringing them up over your head. The belly muscles will want to come forward. Practice hugging them back. As though there was a wall there for your hips, shoulders, and crown. And the belly muscles stabilized it. Breathe here. Beautiful pose. Deep breathing, enjoying the asana. Active in your whole body. Good. Step forward. Let's just compare. Let's use the blocks this time and step the other leg back. Reminding ourselves that it's like there's still a wall there, but now our legs are just in a different shape. It's the same feeling. Belly muscles back as you lift up. Hips, shoulders, and skull in alignment. And we'll breathe a few deep breaths here. Circulating our vitality through the pose. Back down. And step to the front of your mat. Good. Let's line our left foot up on the left edge of our mat. We'll go ahead and step the right heel back onto that edge as well. We've opened our stance. Our hips are going to be more open to the long edge. Take a moment to settle in through your feet. As we sort of work on our asanas, when we start our class, we may have all kinds of thoughts, feelings, sensations happening. As we move through a yoga practice, those sensations, they sort of coalesce. Bend your front knee into warrior two legs. Just check that those legs feel stable. Hips, shoulders, and skull in a line. Let's reach out through our arms, warrior two arms. Like your arms were laying over, they're perfectly parallel and vertical of the edge of your mat. Now we still have plenty of sensation, but that sensation starts to unify into a state of ease and calm and clarity as you breathe and exist in the pose. Long breaths. It's okay if a little fatigue starts to settle in. Stretch and stay present. Good. Straighten your front leg and rest your hand on that thigh. Slide your hand down that leg. You can slide your back heel back a little further. And then reach up with your top arm like a flagpole. And stare up at that hand if you'd like. Long breaths. Soften your toes. Push down to come up. And step forward. Take a deep breath here. Enjoy the sensation. As the lingering remnants of what has come before starts to reintegrate into just existing here in this moment. You'll place your right foot on the right edge of your mat and step the left heel back to the edge. Nice long stance, slightly open to that long edge of your mat. And your front knee over the heel. Remember about the hips, shoulders, and skull, just feeling that relationship to that imaginary wall. You stretch your arms out, parallel and vertical to the edge of your mat. Breathe as you extend. As you extend, you remind yourself to hug at your core. Create an equanimity of tone through your muscles, wrapping around the shape of the pose. Long breaths. Good. Straighten your front leg. And slide your front hand down it. You can push your back heel back a little further. And sprout your left arm straight into the sky. Try to soften your toes, even though your feet are grounded in the floor. Inhale back up. And step out of the pose, back to the front of your mat. Good. Let's move to our balancing segment. So you can use a chair, have a chair or a wall nearby, any of these postures. First, we're going to do a standing split. So you might use the blocks or a coffee table ledge I think like a regular table ledge might be too high. You plant your left foot like a triangle to your hands and lift your right leg straight up into the air. As you lift your right leg up into the air, you're going to root down evenly through your left foot. Then you're going to hang your head and torso as much as is appropriate for your body. And then maybe just taking one hand and touching the calf or the shin. And you can decide whether you're going to come onto the fingertips of the other hand or even remove the hand and hold the calf with both hands. Try not to grip with your toes, just a little bit of gripping. Standing splits. Good. Drop that leg down and come up. Good. So, sorry, Bill, I was not communicating. You're not holding the lifted leg, you're actually holding the ground, the leg is on the ground. Bowing forward. Holding something on the lower side. Plant your right foot in the middle and lift up the left leg as high as it feels appropriate, while still staying grounded through the right foot. Bow your body a little bit. As you find the pose, one hand will find your standing shin. And as you see fit, maybe you get to just the fingertips of the other hand, or both hands find the shin. Kind of like a warrior three that's bowing a little bit. Good. Drop back and then come out of the pose. Whew. Good work. Let's practice our tree posture. Shifting into your right foot, take your left leg up into your thigh or calf. And one hand on a wall. Give a hug for your legs. You can even use the wall as we've used it all class for this one, with your heel, hips, shoulders, and head against the wall. I'm going to do that on my second side because I'd like to compare. Lifting up through tree posture. Similar with the tree, like we did with, as you had imaginary blocks, you would lift up the arms. So your thumbs might touch that imaginary wall. Beautiful balancing. Try to relax inside the shape. And slowly release the pose. Good. I'm going to try this one with the back against the wall for support, or not really support, but more of a guide. You can. You use the other foot. I think it's the right foot comes up now. Hips, shoulders, and head against the wall. And then rise the arms up. Thumbs maybe towards the wall. Breathe. Notice if it feels different on your posture. Trying to down-regulate your system by lengthening the breath, slowing the breath, learning the ancient longevity art of slow, long breathing. And release down. Good job. Standing on the mat again. Long, slow breathing. Feeling that your state of mind, the feeling internally, whether it's the mood, the energy level, the emotion, it's shifting. Maybe a little calmer, but more alert. I don't need to tell you. Just what do you observe? Just like the first instruction of class. Good. Next balancing pose. You have your right hand on the wall, so the wall's to your right. You bring your left leg up and hold under it with the left. You're gonna try and stay up today. So you hold underneath the knee. I'm gonna use both hands. Finding that imaginary wall for support. And then stretching out through that lifted leg. Beautiful. Breathing. Hips, shoulders, and head in line. Toning the core. Good. Bend the knee and release that leg down. Let's shift our weight. Maybe spin it so we can use the wall on the other side. Left leg down. And bring up the right knee with one hand or both. Holding. First, establishing that vertical posture of hips, shoulders, and skull. Reminding itself of the wall and its teachings. If and when you're ready, you'll go ahead and extend out through that leg, straight out. Breathe. Don't forget to slow through your breath. Abiding in the sensation by following the breath. Good. Bend the leg, release down. Excellent. Let's take a wide-legged stance on our mat. Outer feet can be parallel. Just lean into your right hip as you tip to your left. You can hang the ear a little bit, the head on that side. Good. Shift your hips over into your left side. And tip the head over to the right, shoulders to the right. Back to center. Push the hips back. Bow forward. Try to keep your legs straight for as long as you can. Maybe get the hands to the floor. You can bend your knees at any point. And release the hands and head towards the earth. Go ahead and find a block or something. You don't need a block necessarily. Put it right under your nose and push down with your left hand into that block and try to lift your right shoulder on top of your left shoulder. Doesn't have to get there. It's just the direction you're rotating. And if you can get the shoulder on top, you can reach your arm straight up like a flagpole. If it doesn't get on, the shoulders don't stack, put your arm a little out, more like a wing instead of a pole. Good. Come back down. Let's put our right hand down through the block. Twist. Trying to bring our left shoulder over atop our right shoulder. If it happens, you extend the arm up. Good. Coming back down. Push down through the block or the floor and stretch your chin forward, toning your back muscles. As you tone the back muscles, hug the belly muscles in. And see if you can take your arms out like wings. Inhale, come all the way up. And push down through your hips. Good. Go ahead, step back to the front of your mat. One final time, with or without the wall, you'll find your blocks. I'm gonna use the wall. I enjoy the way it makes my alignment feel. With or without the wall, heels, hips, shoulders, and skull find a straight line. Honoring the space in our skeleton, the way nature has orchestrated our anatomy. Keeping the belly muscles in so the ribs don't jut forward. Slowly extend the arms out and then up. Any amount. So the shoulder blades drop down away from the ears. Our chest won't bulge forward because the belly muscles are holding us back. So we're not arching our back. We're just exploring spaciousness. Good. Drop the blocks. I'll do a neck stretch, staying in that alignment of our structure. Just pull the head over to one side. Long, slow, deep breath. Creating a state of mind through the rhythm and repetition of the breath. And head to the other side. Training ourselves as a meditation discipline to have continuous mindful breathing. In Zen, they have a thing where they say, you already have a certain number of breaths in your lifetime. It's already pre-calculated. And so you should breathe long, slow ones, because if you're panting all the time, you you have a shorter life. I have no idea if that is true or not, but I do think there's a lot of health benefits to breathing long and slow, and so it's a funny little aphorism to play with. Let's come down to a squat pose. We'll only have a finite number of breaths, and so it is best to breathe long and slow. Good. Coming down to our knees. Walking the feet back, we'll do our Virasana pose where the knees are touching. Point the toes behind you and sit on the floor with your hips or on a block with your hips. Again, we can be reminded of our support from our wall, hips, shoulders, and skull. Rest your hands in your lap. Once again, listen to the sound of your breathing. Listen to the sensation of breathing. Feel it. And try to elongate the breath. You can elongate it by counting or just feeling that it's slowing down. Your mind enter that same pace. It's slower than day-to-day living. It's calmer. It's quieter. Inhale, lift your arms up and create a pocket with your hand behind your head. Still thinking about the wall. Turn your head and look out at your right elbow. Imagine that the elbows, the shoulders, the hips, and skull were all against the wall. Other direction. Back to center. Release the hands down. And let's come down to tabletop pose. In your tabletop pose, push your left knee forward and your right knee back for pigeon. You come down to your forearm. And sink into the sensation of pigeon pose. Try not to disturb the state of mind we have cultivated in our practice today. Almost like the body is existing in a state of mind, not the other way around. Back up. Right knee forward. Left leg back. Second side. Stay in the state of mind. The long, slow breath keeps us there. Roll onto a side. Swing the legs around. Come down onto your backs. Lift the hips up and place a prop of some height under your hips. Release into the back of your shoulders and skull. You can stay here or float your legs in the air. A few more deep breaths. You don't have to count. Just dwell in the state of mind. The benefit of a long breath rhythm. Let's come back down. Removing any props that we may be laying on or that we don't need to lay down into the earth. Just take a final twist to one side. Any twist will do that works for your body. Back to center. Change sides. Back to center. Take your knees into your chest. Slide your legs out long. Notice that the heels, the hips, the shoulders, and head are against the earth. Give your spine the spaciousness that you've worked on all class. Exist in it. Exist in the long, slow breath of your life. Stretch your body. Press up to a comfortable seat. Namaste.